Good shot, kid. I think you got him. Good shot, kid. I think you got him.
Hello there, and welcome back to some more Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. Today we'll continue on Let's Play, and this is episode 35. In today's episode, we are taking a look at the driving school. When we first got into San Fierro, we got a call from either Jeffro or Dwayne telling us to come here because we crashed too many damn cars. So, that's what we're going to do in today's episode. Let's get an introduction.
Welcome to the Advanced Driving School. To pass, you must score bronze or higher in all 12 tests. To view a demonstration of each test, please use the TV over there. Passing a test will unlock the next test in the training program. You can come back and check your scores or take new tests at any time.
Okay, so we have 12 tests total, and we are going to be finishing them 100% to a gold standard, so because that seemed like the most logical thing to do. This is one of 4 schools in the game designed to improve your stats in vehicles. This one, of course, improving our driving statistic. 2 of these are mandatory, and 2 of them are optional. Test number 1, simply spin once in a 360 doing a burnout and then turning that into a donut, and stop where you started and you'll get 100%. The sort of coax that you can get on that one is to do it multiple times, because it does give you enough time limit to get 2.5 spins out, but you only need to do the once and then shut the car off roughly where you start. Literally do a 360. This test, the 180, simply spin around these cones and then come back to where you started. Pretty simple one. It's more just a case of stopping the car in the right place and be quick enough, and yeah, you'll pass that one no problem. Test number 3 is the whip and terminate, which is essentially a just sharp 90-degree corner. Once again, be quick. This one is very, very easy indeed, I find. A lot easier to get that car stopped because the Banshee is one of the better cars in this game. Test number 4 is pop and control. You run over a spike strip, it will pierce your right rear tyre, and then you've just simply got to stop in the allotted area. Off throttle over the spikes and then just navigate it carefully. That one is a little bit sort of trial and error, but eventually you will get it. Test number 5 is the burn and lap, and this one is actually pretty reminiscent of some of the driving tests that you'd get in a Gran Turismo game. Essentially, we are supposed to do 5 laps of this very tight course, making careful not to hit a cone. If you hit a cone, it is minus 20 on your damage stats, I believe. And you do get sort of graded on this on your finishing position, how much time it takes, and also your damage, which I forgot to mention before, but you can see that in the actual test breakdown. Essentially, of course, because we are going gold, you need 0% damage, and there's no real room for error in terms of your final position. This one just requires you to do the laps within about 35 seconds. I actually got that one first time round, although it can be a little challenging if you're not used to driving the cars precisely and carefully. Next up, we have test number 6, which is the cone coil, another Gran Turismo S test. Essentially, we're tasked with doing this slalom and then coming around to do it again. Again, there's no much more advice other than be quick and stop in the right position, which is essentially to get those middle cones lined up with the A pillar of the car, which is where the windscreen is. So yeah, it takes a little bit of trial and error in terms of stopping, but it isn't too bad. Next up, we have the 90, which is essentially get lucky, because we are doing sort of the stunt that you see in a lot of driving stunt films, where you got to park between 2 cars by just ripping the handbrake. Again, that one is very trial and error, although it is pretty forgiving on where the final position of the car is, which is nice. Next up, we have the wheelie weave, which requires you to go on 2 wheels, move to the left slightly. For this one, you essentially need to grind the car a little bit, not too much to the point where you damage the car, but do grind it enough to sort of keep you on 2 wheels long enough, because you need to be essentially on 2 wheels when you hit the stop marker. Spin and go is the next one, which requires us to do a J-turn in a front wheel drive car, which is actually pretty easy. Essentially, the goal of this one is just pick your moment when you should spin the car around. Be careful not to damage any of the cones. The time limit is pretty decent on this one, in order for you to shuffle the car around and get a decent final position. So that one shouldn't be too bad. Next up, we have the pit maneuver. This one, you need to stay in contact with the car and keep with it. What you want to avoid is sort of spinning the car out and then moving away, which is what you do in a normal pit maneuver. In this, you essentially want to turn the car around and then sort of just keep turning into it. keep contact with it. You don't really get damage points on that one, so that one is a lot easier. Next up, we have the Alleyoop, which requires us to do sort of a perfect 360 pirouette over 2 parked cars. Again, just get lucky on that one, and eventually it'll come, move to the left on the ramp, and yeah, that's essentially the way it works. A lot of these are either be quick or get lucky. This next test requires both. It is the infamous city slicking test. This one is one that the San Andreas community does not like very much. I can't really blame them. The goal of this one is to drive a car from the test center to the, I forgot what it's called now, sort of around the Pier 69 area, and then drive it back to the test center within 100 seconds. That is the goal for the gold time, and I should quickly stress, the gold times in this game, it is within 100 seconds, so you can do a bit before 100 seconds, obviously, but any times within 100 seconds, so if you get like 100.60, that will still count, so it's just within that 100 seconds, you'll be alright. Essentially, just follow my route on this one. It's very RNG dependent, sort of what level of traffic you get. There's a bit, sort of towards the start, you'll see I sort of cut across where the safe house is in Dorothy. There's so many times cars will spawn there, and I just constantly kept restarting it because I considered that a perfect cut. I'd recommend doing it late at night to minimise traffic, because during the daytimes the roads are more active. But other than that, it's sort of good luck, very RNG dependent, and also get to grips with controlling the Super GT. I like the Super GT, I think this is an exquisite looking car, however, the handling of it can leave a lot to be desired. It is very tail happy, so be aware for that, especially when you're sort of coming towards Pier 69, where the first checkpoint is. The car will get skittish on that downhill section, so just wait for that. But this was a pretty darn good run, under 100 seconds, under a minute 40, and yeah, we got 100% there. With all 12 tests complete, that finishes driving school. Now, I should point out, for 100% completion, you only have to complete the school with bronze minimums, that passes it, so you don't have to go through and get all golds if you don't want to. I just figured I would because it's pretty easy, although this is one of the harder schools in the game. This and Flight School are pretty hard, and then the other two are really damn easy. However, either way, you also get a little reward. So, if you complete the driving school to gold, you get the hot knife, which is sort of a 1930s retro hot rod, finished in purple with gold on the license plate. Pretty damn cool. Not a massively useful vehicle, but still something pretty cool. If you end up getting all silvers, you unlock a silver bullet, which is one of the fastest cars in the game, based off of the Ford GT/GT40. A pretty cool car, one of the community's favourites. I'm not a huge fan of the Ford GT though, so it's not massively up my alley, although it is hilariously quick. And if you get bronze, you get a red Super GT, which I'm sure will probably give you nightmares of city slicking. But either way, it's a pretty decent car as well. It's the best looking of the three, probably my favourite of the three cars if I'm being honest. But yeah, the Bullet's definitely the most useful because it's the quickest, and the gold, or the hot knife for getting gold, is pretty darn cool. Anyways, that is it for driving school. Thank you all very much for watching. Next time, we are going to be taking a look at an equally driving related task as we take a look at Blood Brawl, which is our stadium event for San Fierro. So stay tuned for that. Thank you all very much for watching, and until then, farewell.